Whither the seed. Elin quiet words examined the shadowed face that stared out at her from beneath the black cowl. The herald's face was stony, inscrutable. It held no indication of the enormity of what it had said. The demands it made were outrageous, unthinkable. But that was the problem when you dealt with the Eternals of the Winter Wastelands. There was no room for compromise, no room for negotiation. You either took their aid and paid the price they demanded for it, or you left empty-handed and hungry. "It's too much," she said, as much to herself as to the sorrowful one's minion. "There must be some other way."
"There is no other way,"
the creature responded, its flat, lifeless tone scraping at her nerves.
"If you would have the dark between the stars come to your aid, then you must meet the price."
I can't take this offer to the Steadings, the Stridings," she protested, feeling the bile rise in her throat. "It can't end like this. It just can't." For a long time, the creature said nothing, just stood lifeless as stone, staring at her. There was no hate in its eyes. There was nothing there at all. The gaze was cold and lifeless, its eyes as flat and dead as the voice it used. She remembered a high-born magister claiming once that all the Eternals were evil, but the Winter Realm was the only one that never pretended otherwise. Finally, it spoke. One more sentence. Just 3 more words.
"All things end."
And then it was gone, and the audience was over. Overview. At the recent summer solstice, the Narvarre performed the potent winter curse Whither the Seed on the territory of Broceliande. The magic was used to hinder the Valorn, allowing the Empire to exploit a crucial weakness and try to claim more territory from the Narvarre's ancient enemy. While the winter ritual has succeeded in inhibiting and sapping the energy of the Valorn, it's taken a deadly toll on those Narvarre eking out an existence in the territory. With every passing year, fewer and fewer children will be born into the territory, and it'll get worse over the 3 decades that the curse endures. Faced with this grim future, the people of Broceliande appealed to the nation to find some way to lift the terrible curse. They can endure its baneful energies for long enough to allow the Narvarre to press the advantage against the Valorn, but if the curse cannot then be lifted, they'll be faced with a grim future. The idea of giving up on Broceliande is deeply unpalatable, but so is the idea of seeing one's line wither and die. The thought of enduring that for 30 years is simply more than many of them can bear. In response, the Narvarre Assembly called for the Vates to seek out ways that the curse might be lifted. Corey Wayfarer raised the judgment, and with the backing of the greater majority of the Assembly, he agreed to spread word throughout the land, urging the people of the nation to seek out ways that this hideous curse might be broken. Coins. Commissions could be built to provide the Vates with potions to help power their magic. There are 2 obvious ways that the curse might be broken, either using powerful spring magic to try and directly counter the effects, or perversely using powerful winter magic to try and weaken the magic enough to end it. Either is likely to require the Narvarre to perform a powerful ritual using a regio that will potentially need to be defended from the Valorn and perhaps other threats as well. It's not possible to perform the ritual at Anvil, since Broceliande is not part of the Empire. Getting good enough Vates to be able to cast a powerful ritual is not an easy task, but it is harder still if those magicians have to leave Anvil to do so. What would make it easier, potentially much easier, is if the Narvarre have a good cache of powerful potions that boost a ritualist's ability to draw on the power of the appropriate realm. Such potions aren't cheap, but they last until they are used, so if the Narvarre can start acquiring them now, they can stockpile them in readiness. A number of Vates make suggestions for commissions that might provide one or more useful resources, but the biggest problem is that no one is quite certain at this stage whether they need spring or winter magic. Indeed, even one Vate suggests that they might be able to use a powerful night ritual to try and disrupt or mutate the shape of the curse into something else. The argument continues for some time, until Neve Swan's Rest, a broker who specialises in the purchase of potions, suggests that what's needed here is some flexibility. The resources the Narvarre need already exist, they just need someone to connect them up. She proposes to commission the Broker's Chain, a set of 3 small offices, one in Peakedge Stand in Theranin, one in Treji in Hakinia, and one in the city of Seren. Normally, something like this would require 3 different commissions and 3 different citizens to run the offices. But the Narvarre are masters of linking up people across the Empire. The civil service confirmed that the Narvarre could construct the Broker's Chain with a single commission and have it overseen by a single Narvarre citizen. Neve's idea is elegantly simple. The Narvarre Assembly can use a statement of principle to spread the word of whatever potions the nation needs throughout the Empire. Narvarre Stridings can purchase the potions wherever they become available, and then just drop them in at the next Broker's Chain office that they pass, or else pass them on to another Striding who can. It'll need money to make it work, of course, but it's a simple, elegant solution that would leverage the one thing the Narvarre do better than anyone else, going everywhere and talking to everyone. The Broker's Chain would require a Senate motion or a wait leave to authorise, and would require a single commission slot to build. It would need 16 wains of weirwood and cost 32 crowns, but it could be built in a single season. Once complete, it would create a new imperial title, the Factor of the Broker's Chain. This would need to be a Narvarre appointment, preferably a broker for obvious reasons, but Neve suggests that it would work best if it were a Narvarre National Assembly appointment, since the position would have to work quite closely with the Narvarre in the Synod. Initially, the Broker's Chain would allow the Factor to invest money each season to purchase 1 or more Vernal Balm potions, or even a Talonvine infusion if the Ilium could be found to pay for it. However, if needed, the Narvarre Assembly could use a statement of principle to encourage all the brokers connected to the chain to look out for any chance to buy the equivalent potions that exist for the other realms. That is, they could change the equivalent potions from the decoctions of Hoarfrost, the unguents of falling leaves, the tinctures of true eminence, the lambent essences, or the magnum opus. The one flaw in the Broker's Chain is that it would only work if all 3 offices were up and running. If the region one of them was in was captured or overrun, then the entire network would become inoperable until it was regained or replaced. Here are the investment costs and the benefits. For 8 crowns, you get 3 Vernal Balms. For 17 crowns, 6 Vernal Balms. 1 Ilium and 6 crowns is 1 Talonvine infusion. 1 Ilium 14 crowns is 1 Talonvine infusion and 3 Vernal Balms. 2 Ilium and 12 crowns is 2 Talonvine infusions, and 2 Ilium 18 crowns is 2 Talonvine infusions and 3 Vernal Balms. Princes. There is a rumour of a ritual text possessed by the princes of Yarm that might remove Whither the Seed. Drustan Broxgard is a middle-aged Vate who travelled widely in his youth, including long periods spent travelling and studying in Yarm. According to Drustan, he once stayed in Vezak, where he encountered a young Yarmish prince by the name of Raina Telep, whose family ruled the principality of Hordoba. Hordoba was engaged in a furious struggle with the neighbouring principality of Gargina, with each side accusing the other of cursing their territory. Drustan was arrested by the Hordoba authorities on suspicion of spying for Gargina and endured months of imprisonment and painful questioning. The relevance of this sorry story is that during his interrogation, Raina Telep visited him in his cell to gloat over his defeat. Drustan recalls that the young prince seemed convinced that he was part of Gargina's schemes and that he had helped to create the powerful winter curse that was afflicting Hordoba, causing misery and infertility. Rayna had come to boast having secured possession of a powerful spring ritual text that she claimed was more than powerful enough to shatter Gargina's curse. Drustan was eventually released and swiftly returned to the Empire, vowing never to return to Yarm again, and hoping to forget the unpleasant memories. Now, of course, the entire event suddenly seems like it could be relevant. If this Prince Rayna is still alive, and if she still has access to the ritual text, then her family might be persuaded to allow the Narvarre to use it. The civil service are able to confirm that they believe Prince Rayna Telep is still alive, and part of the family that rules the Principality of Cordoba. They've provided details to allow the Narvarre to send a winged messenger to her if they wish to do so. Drustan warns that the ritual text is unlikely to come cheap. He considers the Teleps to be unusually greedy, venal and self-serving, even by the standards of Yarm's corrupt mediocrity. But that it's still likely to be cheaper than codifying a high-level spring ritual. Stars. A potent enchantment using priceless ilium might unmake the curse. What magic has wrought, magic can undo. It's only ever a matter of cost. So says Gethin, a Vate who dwells at Star's End Striding in Miaren. The problem is that the price to undo some acts can be immeasurably higher than the cost to perform the action in the first place. Gethin likes to demonstrate this principle with a very simple lesson for his students, where he takes a cheap clay vase and shatters it with a single blow of his cudgel, and then challenges his pupils to use magic to put it back together. It's so much easier to change your mind than it is to change your actions. Still, it can be done. It can always be done, provided you are prepared to foot the bill. Gethin has spent years studying the power of ilium, the priceless star metal that provides near limitless power to magic when used in enchantments. Drawing on his long years of experience, he has created a spring arcane projection that would directly counter the power of the curse in Broceliande. The enchantment is surprisingly low level. It's only magnitude 30, but it employs some simple spring magics designed to boost fertility in an area. Normally, such a ritual would have no chance of overcoming the power of a potent winter curse like Whither the Seed. But Gethin has designed their arcane projection to work explicitly in Broceliande, to account for the current conditions there, and to counter them. A spring effect that would provide a permanent boost to the fertility in the region, but using star metal to give it a power the winter curse could not overcome. For as long as the winter curse endured, the ilium-bound enchantment would be a match for it. And therein lies the cost. Gethin's arcane projection could easily be performed. It seems difficult to imagine that the Narvarre could not find a coven able to perform a spring ritual of magnitude 30, even unmastered. They would have to wait until an opportunity arose to perform the ritual in the territory, of course, but more importantly, they'd need to foot the bill. Gethin's arcane projection requires a king's ransom, needing 90 rings of ilium to perform. Of course, once the winter curse faded, the permanent enchantment would have to be dealt with, but that'd be 3 decades hence. Plenty of time to find a solution to that problem. Friends. The Citadel Guard could provide the focus needed to target Broceliande with a ritual. One of the key challenges facing the Narvarre if they want to break the curse that they put on Broceliande will be identifying a suitable regio that's accessible via the Sentinel Gate, and then convincing enough Vates to risk their lives to travel there. The Sentinel Gate responds to the whims of fate, so it's reasonable to imagine that at some point it might provide an opportunity to travel to a powerful regio in Broceliande. They're likely going to have to sit on their hands and simply wait for that to happen. That alone is frustrating, to say nothing of the challenges faced when such an opportunity does eventually surface. 2 things would make the task facing the Narvarre significantly easier. If they could determine the point at which they were ready to attempt to break the ritual, rather than waiting to see what fate provided, then they would not be left sitting on their hands. More importantly, if they could perform the ritual from Anvil, they'd gain all the benefits of employing a powerful regio, and it would be vastly easier to gather enough magicians together to perform the magic. Fortunately, both of these goals could be achieved in a single stroke by one of the nations of the Empire. The Urizen army possesses a unique quality. It's got so many magicians that it can act as a focal point for imperial magic, allowing the Empire to cast rituals from Anvil on any territory where it's present. If Urizen would agree to move the Citadel Guard to Broceliande in advance of the summit where the Narvarre were ready to perform their ritual, then the magic could be done at Anvil at a time of the Narvarre's choosing. Sadly, the Citadel Guard is in great demand, partly for its unique quality, but mostly to defend the Urizen homeland from the depredations of the Druge and the Grendel. Urizen has struggled to repel not one but two invasions in recent years, one from the south and one from the east. As a result, it's lost territory on two fronts. First, Zenith fell to the Druge, and then the Senate ceded Spiral in a peace treaty to the Grendel. As a result, the very existence of the Citadel Guard remains in doubt, as the Urizen struggle to support their army, having lost so much territory. What price might the Urizeni require in return for their aid in breaking the curse on Broceliande? Endings. The eternal Kayla could end the curse, but requires a heavy price for doing so. One of the magicians of the quiet word striding a notoriously solitary vate called Elin has apparently been negotiating with a herald of the Queen of Silence to see if she can secure her help in breaking the curse on Broceliande. While it might seem strange to some to seek to use winter magic to break a winter curse that withers the seed, experienced ritual magicians understand that there is solid logic underpinning Elin's actions. According to ritual theory, ending things is one of the most powerful resonances of winter magic, and no Eternal more strongly embodies this idea than the dark between the stars. Her name is often evoked in rituals designed to break bonds, curses, and other magics. It's one thing to invoke her name. There's power in names, certainly. But what if the Lady of Oblivion could be persuaded to give her aid directly? Elin claims that she's negotiated a deal with Kayla, but she warns that the cost is terrible and might be more than the Narvarre are willing to bear. The cold-hearted is concerned with the inevitable end of things. According to imperial law, she respects those who strive to hold back the end, as long as they accept that the end is inevitable, that there is no hope. Her herald has confirmed that the cold-hearted one honours the Narvarre determination to fight for Broceliande, but if she is to provide her aid in that quest, it must come at a price. In the end, everything fails. Everything ends. The price for her aid is the territory of Liathaven. The Queen of Silence doesn't want the territory. She only demands that the Narvarre give it up, that they acknowledge that it is gone, that their vigil has come to an end, that it has failed. The Narvarre have struggled to defend Liathaven, having endured a bloody war with the Jotun for control of the territory. As of spring 381YE, only a small handful of steadings and stridings remain in that territory, and the ranging presence of the Valorn spawn makes wide areas of the territory as dangerous as a Valorn heart. The Narvarre still control West Ranging and West Wood, but it's questionable what they're achieving at this point. In return for her aid, Kayla requires the Narvarre Assembly to pass the following mandate. Actions have consequences. If we are to save one territory, we must accept that another is lost. Our vigil in Liathaven is ended. We send named priest with 50 liao to urge every Narvarre to accept that whilst the Valorn of Liathaven is still our responsibility, the forests themselves are not. Synod Mandate, Narvarre Assembly. If this mandate is passed, then the majority of Narvarre will accept that Liathaven is no longer a Narvarre territory, now or in the future. Every Narvarre resource in the territory would then be in a foreign territory. The Imperial Treasury would receive no taxation from the territory, but would no longer have to pay any costs to maintain it. Kayla apparently does not require that the Empire formally cede any regions. However, her herald warns that the followers of Kayla in Liathaven would move swiftly to claim the two regions with the assistance of her grim legions. She would, of course, expect to see no resistance to this action. The Lady of the Grim Host would take a dim view if the Narvarre were to break their word in this matter. The Silent Queen's herald is at pains to stress that the Narvarre should only enact this mandate if they accept that their authority in Liathaven has ended, and warns that the Narvarre would make a powerful enemy if they took her aid and later attempted to renew their claim to the territory in any way. In return for this terrible price, Kayla would provide the Narvarre with the things they need to break the curse. Elin is not specific about what form this aid might take, but she's adamant that such a thing is within Kayla's power. She is said to be able to end anything that exists, even another Eternal. There is no doubt at all that Kayla could provide the means to end this mortal magic were she minded to do so. Elin would like it noted that she and her family were born in Liathaven, and she only joined the Quiet Word Striding after she was forced to flee when her home was destroyed by the Jotun. It would break her heart to give up all hope of ever reclaiming Liathaven, she says, but she is prepared to pay that price to save Broceliande.